Hello, good morning and welcome to The United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United transfer news update where we talk about all the latest Manchester United transfer news and give it that real fan opinion. And things are starting to hot up, and not just in this studio. It is hotting up. The World Cup's having a bit of a break. Pre-season's getting closer and the stories are starting to come out as time runs out. Really exciting show. Lots to talk about. Willian, Pogba, defensive issues, Bonucci. Lots and lots of things, but let's start off with Willian very, very quickly. So Willian is now heavily linked with a move to Barcelona, which is dividing Manchester United fans because some people think he'd be a great option for Manchester United on the right-hand side. Some think, well, Willian really probably means he's coming in as a replacement to Martial. Some think, well, he's 30 in August. He's a bit hit and miss. Do we want him? And some think, well, him and Mourinho had such a good relationship. He's Premier League proven. Maybe he'd be perfect for United as a short-term right midfield option. My personal thoughts are that there's an interesting development in the last 2 days. I think we've always assumed that Willian would come to Manchester United if the opportunity was there. Yes, he plays for Chelsea, but he always speaks positively about Mourinho. Mourinho always speaks positive about Willian, and it was always about whether we could do another deal with Chelsea like we did with Matic. It now appears that Willian's dream is to actually go to Barcelona. Barcelona very impressed with him in the Champions League game last season, and that looks like it's a move that would benefit all. Because we talk about, well, would we sell Martial to Spurs or Chelsea because it's the Premier League? Surely Chelsea would think the same. Why would we let Willian go to Manchester United where he might be brilliant? He didn't have a great season at Chelsea last season. He was very inconsistent. Now, I don't judge people on the World Cup, but one interesting thing about Willian, he had a bad World Cup. He gets an assist, and then the last half an hour of that game against Mexico, he was world class. And maybe he is a bit of a confidence player because last season, I remember him coming to Old Trafford, he was brilliant in the first half, and second half he faded. I personally wouldn't take him at United. I think he does mean Martial goes. I think also Mourinho gets what he needs from him, but do we as a fan base get much from a player who's going to be 30 in August? 2 years tops. He is all about pace, but the prices being quoted for Barcelona are £50 million north. I mean, I wouldn't go any more than 40 million from Manchester United's point of view, so maybe that is a deal that we leave. Let's talk about Bonucci, and we can bring in Romagnelli from AC Milan. You may never have heard of Alessio Romagnelli from AC Milan, but he came in from Roma a couple of years ago, and he is somebody's always the next somebody. Well, he's meant to be the next Alessandro Nesta. Absolutely, really, really well thought of. He has played for the Italian national team. He's played a lot of games for AC Milan. He's 23 years of age. He's 6'2", and he's very cultured, left-footed. He can play as a left back, but he really is a left-sided centre back. He's not massively quick. He's certainly quicker than Bonucci, and I think it's worth bringing Bonucci in here because there was stories yesterday about Bonucci coming to Manchester United and being available for £31 million. But then Gazzetta della... I'm struggling with my Italian today. Gazzetta dello Sport via Calcio Mercato was saying that Manchester United had a £50 million bid for Romagnelli rejected, but AC Milan would be open potentially if United went a little bit higher. And this is a bit the same with Skriniar from Inter Milan, who again is an early 20s centre-back. That Inter Milan, you've got to go up to 60 million. But if you go for the older centre-back, your Godin or your Bonucci, you might get them for 30, 20 million pounds, but they're well into their 30s. I still have the same issue with both, really. I mean, Romagnelli looks very, very good, and at 20, early 20s, he could come to United. Mourinho could, develop him further. I mean, he's not massively fast, but he's a ball-playing centre-back. He reads the game really well. He is strong, and he's considered to be the next big Italian centre-back, the next best thing. And over the years, they've had some crackers, haven't they? I mean, I mentioned many years ago, Baresi, then you had Nesta, then they had Cannavaro, now they've got, Chiellini and Bonucci, and this lad's meant to be the next thing. But I have to be consistent here. There's not many, there's no Italian defenders that have come over and done that well. There's the West Ham lad, Zabacosta. I mean, he's not done that well, has he? I mean, really well. They struggle with the pace of the Premier League, and I think whether you go and get Romagnelli, who's like 22, 23, or whether you go and get Bonucci, who's 31, they will struggle with the pace. Bonucci is arguably one of the best centre-backs in the world. Would I want him at Manchester United? I'd be massively concerned. This is a guy who's been one of the best centre-backs in the world, but his whole career is in Italy. If he'd come to Premier League, if he comes to the Premier League, he might just get exposed, like a lot of Italian defenders do. I wouldn't like to know what the percentage is. I wouldn't like to figure it out, but there's a marked difference between the pace of the Serie A and the Premier League, and we've seen that evidenced even with Paul Pogba. He doesn't get the space he got in Serie A. So Bonucci, for a man who's spent all his career in Italy to come and adjust to the fast pace of the Premier League. I mean, you can imagine him against somebody like Aubameyang or Vardy, who's hassling him all the time. And he turned 31 in January. I mean, it just doesn't work. And I don't think Mourinho would do it for those reasons. But £31 million, yeah, it's an okay deal. But if I was going for one of the two, I would rather we went for Romagnelli, because you just get something a little bit extra from him in relation to development and career. You know, the journey's up. Whereas Bonucci, he's hit his peak and he's going to be dropping down in the next 2 years, whereas Romagnelli's got some progression in there. And maybe AC Milan are being looked at by clubs as, you know, and PSG to a certain extent with these financial fair play issues, that maybe there are some there. But give us your thoughts below on that. That's only my opinion. I've been very consistent about Italian defenders and then Bonucci. Doesn't mean we won't go and get him. So give us your thoughts below on that. Also want to bring in Paul Pogba here. Got a couple of stories I still need to bring you. Paul Pogba. Okay, so Paul Pogba speaks many languages, and he spoke about Messi and said that Messi's the best in the world. Disagree with you, Pogba, but that's up to you. But then we've also had news that Mino Raiola may have spoken to Barcelona, had talks with them about Paul Pogba. I mean, this is not the first time. Apparently Real Madrid, PSG, he's been speaking to them about Paul Pogba. The only real concrete thing I think you can lay your hat on in relation to Pogba being offered out was what Pep Guardiola said just before the Manchester derby, that he was offered Paul Pogba in January. Now, look, I always said at the time, if that's not true, why would a manager come out and say that he was offered Paul Pogba in January? It's disgusting. And I think a lot of people glossed over that. But when a Manchester United player is offered to Manchester City or any other club in the middle of a season, there's something drastically wrong there with the club. And I stick with Mourinho on that. It must be utterly embarrassing. You wouldn't want Pep Guardiola to do it, but ultimately, why would he lie? And if he was lying, he leaves himself wide open. And actually, Raiola never denied it. Pogba never denied it. And my feeling on this is that whether Raiola has been offering Pogba out, he won't be leaving this summer anyway. And also, why is Paul Pogba unhappy? I mean, I love Paul Pogba, but the reality is there comes a time, no matter what you think of Mourinho, you have to think about Manchester United. And I just think that if Pogba's unhappy at Manchester United, why are you unhappy? You got dropped from a bad performance game against Spurs. Cop yourself on, pull your trousers up, fight hard, get some consistency in your game, prove Mourinho wrong, and play up to the adoration that you have at Manchester United. We absolutely love Paul Pogba. We want him to be what he can be, a world-class midfielder. But he needs that consistency. And I don't like to hear that he's being offered out by his agent, because why? You've only just got here. You're in the middle of a massive contract. You apparently love this club. The manager could be gone in a year, but we want you here. So get the shirt on and do what you meant to do in the shirt, and stop this bloody feeding rumours out that, and I'm not saying Pogba is, but we keep hearing about Pogba being offered out. And I think why? Why is he being offered out? Why would he want to leave Manchester United? Surely when the going gets tough, the tough get going, and that's what we want to see from Paul Pogba. Also saw a few people yesterday melting down a little bit about Riyad Mahrez. Oh, why aren't we in for Riyad Mahrez? He's going to Manchester City. We need a right midfielder. Riyad Mahrez has been going to Man City for quite a while. Whether Mahrez would have been good at United or not, it doesn't matter. We can't sign everybody, and Man City are the Premier League champions, and clearly we're probably not in for Mahrez. I mean, Mahrez could suit us as a right midfielder. He's certainly played well against us in the past, but you can't get everybody. I mean, we did take Sanchez from them because we paid him loads and loads of money, but you can't do that with everybody, and I don't think we're in for Mahrez. So I just think sometimes you've got to be aware of what other teams are doing, but not worry about it too much. Lukaku has been mentioned in relation to Real Madrid and £150 million. I mean, that's just not going to happen. That deal is not going to happen. We don't need to lose any sleep about that at all. I think it's a shame Lukaku didn't score against Japan, because I would love him to win the Golden Boot. I mean, I'd love it if Harry Kane manages to hold on to the Golden Boot, but I would love Lukaku to win it as a Manchester United fan. I think it'd be great to have the striker who's the Golden Boot winner at United. But he's not going anywhere this summer. It might be a problem in the future years if we don't start winning in Premier Leagues and stuff. Lukaku might look elsewhere. But at the moment, he's a Manchester United player, and I wouldn't swap him for anyone. I think he's a fantastic player. Really interesting reports coming from Spain about Ronaldo and £100 million to Juventus. I mean, that's where United need to be doing some business here. I mean, if Ronaldo comes up for sale and we don't sign him, I'll be furious. I mean, if he goes to Juventus for £100 million and we haven't gone in for him for £100 million, that'd be that's clearly a decision from the club that oh, we don't need Ronaldo at the moment. I mean, come on, bring him home. If he's available for that money, you've got to go and get him. But more interestingly, where have Juventus got all this money from? They're spending so much money at the moment. They're surely going to have to start selling players soon. And if they're going to sell players at the moment, go and get bloody Alexandro, as I said yesterday. Really, we need to go and do that. But give us your thoughts in relation to Bonucci and Romagnelli. What about Paul Pogba? What are you thinking about that? I just want him to get his head down at Manchester United. He's not going anywhere this summer, but these rumours, it just makes me concerned what's going on behind the scenes. Is there an issue with Mourinho? And you know, just get your head down. We've got a new season coming up. You're playing at a World Cup. Come back to the club. Pogba's loved by most Manchester United fans. Crack on and do it. And Willian, Willian, 50 million quid. He loves Mourinho. Mourinho loves him. 50 million quid. Would you do that deal, or do you think there's other things we should be looking at? And what else should we be looking at? Get commented below. Make sure you drop a like on the video, and I'll speak to you all tonight. We're live at 8 o'clock tonight. I mean, we could have a video in between. It seems to be all hotting up in relation to Manchester United transfer news, but no World Cup games tonight, so we're on at 8 o'clock. Thanks for watching. Drop a like, and more importantly, give us your comments on everything we've discussed. I'll speak to you all soon.